Hello and thank you for watching. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the setups for my primary and secondary California everyday carry handguns. Now, before we get started, we're going to go ahead and safety check both firearms, starting with the Glock 19 Gen 3, which is my primary everyday carry firearm. As you see, there is no magazine in the magazine well, and there are no rounds in the chamber. Moving on to the secondary, which is a CZP01. Again, there are no magazines in the magazine well, and there are no rounds in the chamber. Starting off with my primary everyday carry firearm, this is a Glock 19 Gen 3, and we're going to go ahead and start from the front. And the first modification you will notice is that I've added an aftermarket barrel and compensator to the firearm. This particular one is by Radian. This is a Ramjet and Afterburner combo. The wonderful part about this barrel and compensator combo is that the barrel is non-threaded, so it is 50 state legal. So if you live in the state of California and your particular issuing agency for your concealed carry permit allows modifications to the firearm, then this is a great option. It definitely adds quite a bit of reduction in recoil. Although Glock 19s don't have a lot of recoil, it is a 9mm handgun. Having something like this does allow you to have a quicker acquisition of your sights, especially under a rapid fire situation. So I definitely would recommend looking into something like this. The other part that I like is that with this particular Afterburner and Ramjet combination here, you don't have to add an aftermarket spring, so I am running the stock Glock spring without any issues. I will be doing a separate review of the Radian Ramjet and Afterburner combo here, so stay tuned for that. Moving on to the next modification, I've upgraded the sights to XS Big Dot sights. What I like about these is that they are quick acquisition sights, which means they're great for a rapid acquisition in a self-defense scenario. As you see, the design of these, it's what some people call a lollipop design or an eye design. You dot the eye, basically you put the front dot here over the rear line here, and when you have those lined up, you're set to go. Inside of 15 yards, the point of impact for this dot is inside the dot. The center of the dot is the point of impact. Outside of 15 yards, the point of impact is the top of the dot. As far as the grip goes, I've added Talon grips, which is a decal that you install. It's something like a decal. And this adds a nice texture to the grip, which allows you to get a great purchase. What I like about this setup is that the Talon grips are full coverage, so they go all the way around the firearm. But also, when they do wear out, because eventually they will wear out, all you have to do is just remove them and you can install a new one. The set for the Glock 19 runs $20. I'd say it's worth it. The other option that a lot of people go for is stippling. That's another great option. It's a little bit more permanent, a little bit more expensive. But for now, I feel more than happy with the Talon grips that I've installed. Now, moving below here, you see I do have a Magwell here. This Magwell is produced by Agency Arms. So this is an Agency Arms Magwell. And the reason I like this particular Magwell is because it is very low profile. For an EDC pistol, it's very important to not add a lot of things that would increase printing. You want to be able to conceal carry this. Now, I am a taller person, so for me, the Glock 19 is a great carry option. Keep in mind, with something like the Radian Ramjet, you are increasing the length of the slide. So this in turn is the size of a Glock 17. Which is Glock's full-size 9mm model. So it does add that extra length. But going back to the Magwell here, the reason I chose it is because it's very thin, it's very low profile. Yet at the same time, it has a nice wide opening, which does aid in the insertion of magazines. So for rapidly changing magazines, this is a great option. Again, this is a wonderful option for EDC because of the nice low profile. And as far as the installation goes, it's very simple. It's just one bolt here that holds it in place. It adds a nice little ledge here so that it does reduce the chances of you slipping. As far as the trigger here, I've gone ahead and installed an Apex trigger. Now, personally, I feel comfortable installing this trigger on my everyday carry pistol. The reason being is because Apex is one of the companies that a lot of law enforcement agencies allow their employees to modify their firearms with. So a lot of police agencies throughout the nation do allow Apex triggers to be installed on the primary duty weapons for their officers. Apex is a very solid brand. They're very reliable. The design of the shoe here is awesome. It is a flat face trigger. I opted to go with a polymer option, and as you see, it's a black. They do come in different colors, but I kind of like to go with a kind of a lower profile in terms of the flashiness of my firearm. I don't really like to add a lot of bling or pizzazz. At least with this firearm, I like to keep it kind of looking stock, but I would recommend Apex triggers quite a bit. The pull weight on this is 1 pound less than the stock Glock 19 trigger, and we're going to go ahead and test it out. As you see, it doesn't have a lot of take up. Nice and solid wall, nice crisp break, and the reset is nice and audible and tactile. That's the reset. So I would highly recommend the Apex trigger. This is the only aftermarket trigger I personally would trust on an everyday carry firearm. Now, keep in mind, depending on what agency issues your CCW, some agencies do not allow you to modify your handgun in any way. So that's something to keep in mind. So as far as even though the barrel is 50 state legal, some agencies won't allow you to make any modifications to your firearm. Some of them won't even allow you to add a flashlight to your firearm. So that's something to keep in mind. Make sure you stay up to date with the laws and regulations within your county or your issuing agency. Finally, as you see here, I've added a Streamlight TLR 7A. I opted with this one because it doesn't add too much length to the firearm, and it's plenty bright for my needs. So again, quick overview of the modifications that I've installed on my primary everyday carry firearm. It's going to be the Radian Ramjet+Afterburner combo barrel and compensator, the XS big dot sights, tongue grips, as well as the Agency Arms Magwell, and finally, but not least, the Apex trigger that I've installed. And a notable mentions here, but they're not really what I would consider modifications, but because they are Glock OEM parts, I am left-handed, so I have installed an extended slide stop here and an extended mag release. And this allows me to actuate the slide stop with my index finger as well as drop the slide. Again, these are OEM parts, so I don't know if I would consider them modifications, but I guess they are modifications when you compare it to the way that the firearm comes when you purchase it. Now moving on here to my secondary firearm for everyday carry. This is a CZP01. Now, I had the slide milled by a company called Cajun Gun Works. Cajun Gun Works is known for making great parts and also being experts as modifying CZ pistols. Actually, that's what they specialize in, is CZ pistols. As far as the internals go on this firearm, the internals are bone stock, so I haven't done anything to any of the internals. Cajun Gun Works went ahead and milled this slide for me and installed this HoloSun 507K optic on this. This is a red dot sight, but they also come in green dot. As far as the iron sights, I have changed them out with the XS big dot sights, the same model that I have installed on my Glock 19 Gen 3. The grips were also changed out. So the stock grips are a rubber texture. They're wonderful grips, but I wanted something a little bit more lower profile. So I did opt for the lock grips. That's LOK. This is their everyday carry variant of the grip. They're wonderful. They have a nice texture. They allow me to get a nice purchase on this. And then finally, I have a Streamlight TLR7 on this firearm. Other than that, it's completely stock. The CZ-P01 is known for having quite a heavier dual stage action here. So the trigger is quite heavy when you go into dual action. So this is a DASA, dual action, single action trigger. So it has a nice long pull. But once the firearm has been fired, the subsequent follow-up shots, the trigger is nice and light. However, if you want to modify this, Cajun Gun Works does have a trigger kit that will reduce the pull weight to about 8 pounds for the dual action, and about 4 pounds, 3.5 to 4 pounds for the single action. But as far as this particular firearm, I don't think I'll be upgrading the trigger anytime soon. I'm content with the way it is now, and so I'll be leaving it the way it is. Again, giving a quick overview, summary of the modifications for the CZ-P01. This is my secondary everyday carry firearm. I have the slide, which I milled and installed a Hollow Sun 507K red dot on. I've also upgraded the sights to XS big dot sights. I've upgraded the grip panels here to LOK grips or lock grips, their EDC model. And finally, I've installed this TLR7A by Streamlight. So again, thank you for watching and stay safe.